Today I want to tell you a story from one of my favorite books that has actually changed my life drastically back when I was a teenager. And the story is called A Wife is a Goddess. The moral of the story, or actually the storyline, goes that there was a husband and a wife. And what do husbands usually do when they come home? They sit on the couch, well, at least in Russia, not in my family, thank God. Husbands would come in, sit on the couch, turn the TV on, and watch some TV, right? In Russia, again, American life is different from Russian, so the book is written about Russian life. Anyway, women do what? They cook dinners, they prepare for an evening meal, and they watch kids, wash dishes, whatever. And so this is how the story goes. There was a husband and a wife living together for a while now. And every night, a husband would come back home, sit on a couch, turn the TV on, starts watching news, reading newspapers, and so on, while the wife was cooking dinner, preparing for the house for the night, cleaning the dishes, and doing all these domestic things. And so, obviously, when you clean dishes or doing the domestic things, you don't look your best, right? So that's what a wife was forced to do, is do all the domestic things, and obviously not much time to take care of herself, right? So I'm sure a lot of us can relate. And the husband would look at her and say, "Oh my God, look at yourself. You used to be so pretty and beautiful and happy, and now I am struggling living my life with you. Look at you. You don't have a good dress to wear. You don't take care of yourself, and your hair is a mess." And so they fought quite often, and husband was like, "Am I destined to live my life with this witch who has turned from this one-time beautiful girl to what she is now?" And so he went out to take the garbage out, and before he walked back inside, he stopped in front of the door, and I started talking to God. And he asked, "Dear God, am I destined to live the rest of my life with this crazy witch who is no longer beautiful, who doesn't take care of herself, and always unhappy and blame me for not earning enough money or not doing certain things?" And the God responded. God responded and said, "You know what, husband? I will help you in this matter. I will start turning your wife into a goddess. But I'm not going to do it right away. I'm going to take my time and turn her into a goddess gradually." And husband perked up, like, okay, wonderful. I would love to live with a goddess. And so the God responded, "But in order to live with a goddess, you need to become a god. You need to be worthy of living with a goddess." And husband is like, "Okay, I can do that. I can totally do that. Who wouldn't want to change in order to live with a goddess?" So God responded, "Okay, so I'm going to start changing your wife right now, gradually. When you walk back inside, you will notice some subtle changes in your wife." So husband was happy. "Okay, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to see what has God, like, what happened to my wife." So he walks back inside. He sits on the couch, picks up his newspaper, tries to read. Obviously he can't read. He just keeps peeking at his wife, looking, has she changed? Has she changed? has she changed yet? And so he finally puts the newspaper away, stands up and goes close to her and starts looking at her washing dishes. And she doesn't look at him. She is doing the dishes and standing with her back towards him. But she noticed, you know, when somebody looks at you, you feel that somebody's looking at you. So she noticed the stare. She turns around and sees her husband staring at her. And she kind of blushes and fixes her hair, and she just so surprised. Why would her husband, he never does that, so he just stands there and stares at her. And she asks him, why are you staring at me? And husband didn't know what to respond, so he goes, oh, well, I just wanted to see if you needed help with washing dishes. And she smiles at him, and she said, well, I'm almost finished with my dishes. So he basically just comes up to her and start helping her drying the dishes. So a little bit of changes has happened when she fixed her hair and just looked at her husband in a different way. So the next day, husband goes to work. After work, he thinks, oh, I can't wait to see what my wife looks like now. How did she change? How did God change her now? And what if he changed her so much that I am not even worthy of living with the goddess anymore? So he thinks, oh, why don't I go and pick up a bunch of flowers or a flower bouquet and give her a bouquet of flowers when I come home, so that will make me worthy of being with the goddess. So he does that. He comes home, opens the door, and wife stands there wearing her very fancy night dress, looking all dolled up, pretty, with her hair made up, and looking beautiful, smiling at him. And then he notices there are 2 candles and a candle dinner set up for them together. And so he gives her the flowers, and both of them are surprised that this has happened that way. So they have dinner, and obviously neither of them have done that in the past. So this is something new that they're doing, just because they are thinking of imagining. I'll come back to the moral of a story. Let me tell you the story. So basically, it goes back to, I'm not going to go into that, but he asked her to have a child together because she's now a goddess, and they lived happily ever after. So the moral of the story is that we see things, we create things with our thoughts. Nothing has changed about the wife. What has changed is how her husband started looking at her. And just the crazy part, she has noticed the change, and she followed the energy of his thoughts. And he followed the energy of his thoughts. So he started treating her differently. So she started being a different, not a different, she started acting and doing things a little differently, but she's still the same woman she was before. So the moral of the story is that our thoughts can create worlds, our lives, our environments, can materialize, can produce things for us. Our thoughts are not just thoughts, they're powerful machines that have tons and tons of atomic energy in them that are meant to create lives, to produce. And if we can master our thoughts, start seeing things differently, in our lives, we can create major changes in our lives. Are you that woman who comes in and blames her husband for not doing anything, for not watching the kids, not helping with the kids, watching the TV, reading newspapers, doing whatever, and you do all the housework? Or are you that man, well, we don't have men in the group, but are you that person that always blames someone else's instead of changing your own perspective on how you see things? So the moral of a story, it's an inside job. It does take a while, it does take effort. It does take for you to start seeing things differently in order for you to create change in your own life, right? So this is my positive note for today. What are the things that you are not happy with in your own life, and how can you look at those things differently today? How can you start looking at things in a positive way? Your husband's not cooperating. Start looking at him like he is the God, or you chose him at some point one day for all the good things that he's done for you, or just because you fell in love. What are the things that you love about him? What are the things that you love about your kids if you're unhappy with where you're about your life with kids? What are the things you do love about your work if you're unhappy about the work that you're doing? What are the things that you actually love about your life versus what are the things that you always nagging over and over and over in your own head, being negative, and therefore recreating that negativity over and over and over and over because you keep thinking about it over and over and over and over? What are the things that you can change as far as your thinking that can change your life? This is the question that you need to ask yourself, and this will make huge difference in your life. I hope this story helps. I love this story. I have read it in the times when I was young, naive, but full of love and full of excitement for life, and didn't know where it would take me, but I was so pure and beautiful from the inside. And now, look at me now. No, just kidding. But that story has been with me for a very, very long time. So sometimes I remember about it. So I thought I'd share that with you. And maybe it will make a difference in your own life. Thank you for listening.